Hi, my name's Cory Mayo, licensed realtor with Monument Sotheby's, and welcome to Who's in the House, your podcast for everything coastal Delaware. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way you're updated every time I upload new podcasts or videos. And if at any time you have questions, feel free to email us at info@who'sinthehouse.de as in Delaware.com. You can also call or text 302-466-5511. Now sit back and enjoy this episode of Who's in the House.
Well, welcome back to the United States.
I am back in the United States.
Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, it was.
Did they actually sound like that?
It was so yeah.
In case this actually makes the podcast, we are talking about Cory's trip to Ireland. He has one of his daughters is top 3 in the world.
10th in the world.
Okay, well,
but yeah,
we're salespeople. Top 2, and top 2 in the world for Irish step dancing. And she actually travels to Ireland quite a bit to
Ireland, Scotland, London,
to competitions,
and then all around the United States.
Anywhere they speak English, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Yeah, they were last year. They were trying to get me to go to Australia, and I'm like, no, we're not doing Australia. I just can't. It's too the flight. It's too long of a flight.
Yeah.
But it's
I hear it's hot. There's a lot of flies.
Yeah. No, it's not for me. But no, I'm very I'm a bit of a, as you know, like a bit of a workaholic. So being gone that long, I could start getting antsy. I did sell 3 houses though while I was in Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah, one with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
I did. Yeah, one with
It's
you.
contingent, but we'll get that house sold.
It's still, yeah.
right.
Yeah. So it was so it happens all the time. That's
That's
cool.
awesome.
That's what's cool about this industry and about working with such fantastic salespeople like you guys.
Well, you know what? We do enjoy your clients. We do see a lot of people who come in and they are always so lost. Like, I don't know. Like they've got to reinvent the wheel and they've never seen a house before. And we've got to, kind of walk them through the process. But it seems like your clients know what they're looking for. Like, they don't come in blind. They're coming in, they're saying, okay, Cory's educated us. We know we want this location because of this, that, and the other. We know we want one of these 2 houses. We'd like to compare them. We'd like to see the prices, so they're educated. And so it helps. So we really enjoy when your clients come in. For sure.
Well, thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate that. It's so I have what I've coined, and I may have told you guys, it's called a discovery meeting. Mm-hmm. And, you just saw my office where we were at the couch. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's really important. Every agent has their style and how they do things. But for me and my process is sitting down with clients and kind of talking through, everything from new construction versus resale, but also exploring the area, because a lot of people come down here, they're like, I want cheap taxes, and they don't understand the whole area in general. So we need to talk about shopping and dining and entertainment, and are you going to have a boat? Because if you have a boat, you shouldn't be on the ocean, you should be near the bay, and all of those types of things. So those are all questions that we try to work through. When you're in a car, your view is roughly 4 feet off the ground. You can only see what's right in front of you. So we have Google Maps, which is super helpful. We can go 30,000 feet up in the air and look and be like, okay, in this community, this is how lifestyle is going to be. In this community, this is how lifestyle is going to be. So it really helps them understand, as opposed to touring with quantity, we tour with quality. And I think it really helps take that analysis paralysis out for clients also, because they just get overwhelmed also. They make up communities and they make up homes. They're like, oh, that community with the big pool and it has the clubhouse over there. I'm like, no, one had the clubhouse and one had the pool.
Yeah,
Right.
They all run together.
Yep.
They can only retain so much information. And I think that, and again, different agents have different strategies, but mine, I like to kind of keep it down to 3 or 4 of something a day. And allows them to, a model, a community, and a spec, or whatever it might be, or 2 communities and whatever. So they can go back to the hotel and take that home, the literature that we get from the salesperson, and digest it, and then go back the next day versus what's what. I don't even know what I just saw today.
Yeah,
Right.
so I know that, like I said, when customers come in, they're working with you, they have a better grasp on what they're looking for. You know, if sometimes I go and make analogies, and selling a house can be a lot like going to the doctors, right? So if you go into the doctors, if your doctor says, yeah, well, we've got this medicine and it might make you sick and you stay on the toilet for a while, and then you got this medicine and, oh, we got this medicine, it'll make you feel good. It won't help you at all. But, you know, and if your doctor's telling you about a million medicines, by the time you leave that doctor's office, you don't know what's wrong with you. And you have no idea what medicine to take, but you've got like literature on a whole bunch of medicines, and like that would be no good. Your doctor has to actually talk to you, has to look, you know, listen to you, examine what's going on with you, and then help you get to where you need to be. And when customers come in, if they're going to see 150 different communities, 150 different houses, have 150 different brochures from different communities, they're going to go home. They're going to be so confused. They're going to have no idea what they're supposed to be doing. And they're going to be overwhelmed to the point where they're just not going to buy a house. Luckily, you know, when we're seeing your customers, they're coming in with some basis of the area. They understand that they can't be... You know, it's not HGTV. That you can't get that beachfront bargain at $150,000 right on the ocean and have seagulls delivering dinner to you. I mean, it just doesn't work like that.
Because they do that a lot here. There's a lot of seagulls that deliver dinner, which is the wonderful thing about Delaware.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we don't have Uber Eats. We've got, you know, seagull delivery.
But for sure, your clients come in less stressed, more focused, and typically overall seem to really enjoy the process with you. So that always helps us big time.
They do have fun, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
I'm really, really liking the direction that this podcast is going here.
It's all about Cory.
This is supposed to be on you guys, and hey, you know, I'm feeling all warm and fuzzy. But no, thank you. I mean,
we do appreciate you.
We do.
I mean, we don't say it enough. You know, and again, for everyone else out there, and I'm sorry to step over you, but Cory is the expert in this field. I actually, Cory and I worked for the same company a long time ago, not at the same time, but it was just kind of a cool company at first, and so we had some of the similar background in this industry, and so I had a little bit of knowledge of what Cory had, but then Cory expanded it into a much bigger section of the market, into resale, into other builders, into you know, doing resale, essentially, although new homes is still resale considered, you know, in the industry. But yeah, no, Cory's been fantastic, and his clients, he knows this area, he knows the houses, he knows construction style, he knows what's good for this area, what's bad for this area. You know, when you're talking about, you know, 2x4 versus 2x6, when you're talking about dehumidification systems, when you're talking about you know, tankless hot water heaters, and, you know, why it matters, and natural gas versus propane, and et cetera, et cetera. Like that's the kind of things that you have to, you don't know to ask. Yeah. But Cory knows to ask.
Well, it's, you know, it's funny, you know, Grace, who works for you guys, you know, who's
Grace? I don't know.
Stop.
Who's now the online salesperson.
She was just talking about your meeting the other day in our sales meeting.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yep.
Well, she used to be at Marsh Island, which has an unfinished basement. And so whenever I go in there with a client, she'd be like, all right, Cory's going to take you downstairs and geek out about, you know, because that's where you can see, like, what's behind the walls, because there's no drywall. And that's where I get excited, because that's what, in my opinion, is one of the big factors between, you know, builders is, you know, building technique and what sciences are included in it, and energy efficiencies, and the Manablock and PEX plumbing, and how does that help. And so, like, I get super excited about that versus, you know, what looks pretty. And it's just, you know, I think that's easy to, you know, quote unquote sell, or for a client to see, but when they can't see behind the drywall, you know, so I used to really enjoy that. So it's a big difference when, and I tell clients all the time, you know, obviously, you know, love you guys and love Schell, but I'm here to represent my clients.
Absolutely.
And I'm very big on, when I come in and I recommend a builder to them, that they're going to get the same level of service that I you know, am giving to them. And obviously Schell across the board, you know, they're whole company is very customer service oriented, which is a huge plus. But, you know, they also offer a quality home. And I say, when you go in there, the first time you close that door, you're going to notice instantly, compared to probably 80% of builders out there, models that you're going to go through, you're going to feel the difference just when you close the door. It feels different. It feels
It's more solid.
Stronger. Yeah.
overall.
Yeah, stronger.
Yeah.
It just feels, underfoot, bounce on the floor, and you don't feel that flex that you feel in a lot. So,
Right.
There's a lot, which is available in every house that's built by Schell, but particularly they're extra strong at Peninsula Lakes.
Absolutely.
Peninsula Lakes has, really, really, no, but it's, but no, they are. They're, you guys deliver a really good quality product. And then obviously every community is really what, is separating for a client's lifestyle. A Wimbrel at Peninsula Lakes is the same Wimbrel at Welch's Pond. So the difference is the lifestyle of the community, price point, what's affordable, what makes sense to them, amenities, and all of that. I have a lot of clients that I brought in that have built in Peninsula Lakes and are loving life. And that's why I really want you guys to kind of, let's chat about the big news, which is guys just had a huge, new phase release, which is...
We did.
Fantastic. We've got pond views, which we haven't had there in a while.
Absolutely.
Lots of beautiful water views. I think we have 10 water view sites left out of the whole release there. So
Let's see.
I don't know if it's quite that many. So these are some of the best home sites in the entire community that were just released. After this release, we're going to have 2 water view home sites in the entire community. So of the how many other...
I'm sorry, you said after this is sold, there's only going to be 2 more water sites?
Yeah, so if you want to be on the water, right? If you want to have that pond view, these are your last opportunities because there's only 2 left as soon as this is sold. This is the best section in the entire community. This is the section that people have been waiting for. It's section phase 14. It is kind of tucked away into the back of the community. It's a nice quiet area. It's surrounded by mature trees. It's got the pond views. Some of them are huge. Like one of them down there on that cul-de-sac off of Purple Finch there. I think it's like 12,000 square feet.
Probably this one is 565.
Absolutely huge. So no matter what you're looking for, we've got it available right now, and we haven't had that for the longest time. And even though we haven't had that, we've become the Home Builders Association of Delaware's #1 community.
That's huge.
It is the #1 community in all of Delaware, even though we haven't had like the primo home sites. So now that we've got these primo home sites, we anticipate them to sell pretty quickly. It is one of the best communities in the area because of its location and its price.
Sure.
We have such convenient shopping right next to our community because a lot of people think, I want to be at the beach. And, of course, that's where you come in. You're educating them that, you don't want to be at the beach because it's, $1.2 million. And if you can afford that, then let's do it. But if not, let's start at Peninsula Lakes where you are only 13 miles away from the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
But you can literally walk to the grocery store. We've got 3 grocery stores. We've got...
But a big thing, one of them is a Harris Teeter, which, is I'm not going to say it's a big deal, but, it's, you have a Giant, you have a Weiss, and a Harris Teeter, which is kind of like Wegman-y-ish, type, quality. So it's nice to have that right around the corner also.
Yeah, I mean...
you could bike there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
3 great grocery stores. There's Walgreens, and there's Rite Aid. There's emergency walk-in care and veterinary clinics. There's sushi and Chinese food and pizza and Mexican food and crabs. I know the crab barn is over there, so you may even run into one of our construction managers. You've got, everything you need is right there. So driving to the beach, or driving to Lewis or driving to Rehoboth or driving to wherever, it's super convenient from our location.
Yeah.
And I look at it this way, and this is what I tell people who are focused on, I want to be closer to the beach. Great. If you're going to walk to the beach, I think that's a completely different thing. But if you've got to get in your car to get to the beach anyway, just come down to Peninsula Lakes. You're going to get everything that you want. You're going to have a lazy river, which is people just love that lazy river
Yeah.
because they're just floating around, relaxing with a cocktail and enjoying themselves in the pool. We've got the lap pool. We've got the splash zone for the kids and grandkids. It all overlooks the fishing pond and the fishing pier. We've got the nature trails and the tennis and the pickleball and the horseshoes and the bocce and the clubhouse, the huge gym. We even have an activity director, a lifestyle coordinator. And she's phenomenal. So if there's something that's not going on in our community that you want to be going on, she'll facilitate it. I just saw they're doing Tai Chi. They just did
that's pretty cool.
They just did goat yoga.
Did they really?
Yeah.
They did.
I've heard about. Now, did they do that outside or inside?
So you do it inside. If you do it outside, it's kind of bad. But no,
Be prepared if
Wow.
you work with Josh. This is
the bad jokes. Yeah,
The
no,
bad
I do have to
The
apologize.
dad jokes.
They're pretty bad. But no, they just did goat yoga. They do line dancing. They do yoga, different kinds of yoga, drumming fitness.
because there's an actual like yoga Zumba studio that's in there.
There's a yoga studio. Again, the gym is huge.
Yeah. It's like a legit like gym. Like
It is.
4
It
TVs
really is.
and
We've got fire pits. I mean, you just got to come see it for yourself.
Yeah, there's a ton to get involved with for sure. I mean, if you're living there and you're bored, it's your own fault.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So people sometimes they ask for that active adult community. So just to be clear, Peninsula Lakes is not a quote unquote active adult community. There are no age restrictions in our community. I think it caters perfectly well to anybody. But yeah, if you're looking towards retirement, there aren't that many choices down here for active adult communities.
Sure.
So Peninsula Lakes is a great option because you're going to get every single thing that you want in an active adult community, but you're going to get it for lower price.
well, and also, and not that you're building or buying to sell. That's not the ultimate goal, but sometimes things happen. When you go to resale, and this is the realtor side of me, when you go to sell your home, if for whatever reason you have to move back to wherever you came from, or you need to downsize or upsize or whatever it may be, you have a much broader number of people that you can market to versus 55 plus communities. You're just you can only market to them, and because we have such a small number of those communities, and this whole area is a very laid back lifestyle of like that typical 55 plus style community, like all of coastal Delaware is kind of like that.
Right.
It tends to be harder to sell homes in those communities versus we can talk to anybody when you're selling a home in a more traditional no restrictions community.
So I don't know how many clients that you've actually paid attention to what they're when they want a 55 plus community, but I pay attention and I know that a lot of people say I don't want that 55 plus community. I don't want to feel like I'm old.
Yeah, I think that. So I get a lot of calls of people that say, they're calling from New York or they're calling from New Jersey or Connecticut, wherever, and they live in a more traditional suburban area, and their vision is, I don't want to be on the grid of just a house on a road, and I want to go into a community, into a 55 plus community, and Delaware's a resort area, so I'm looking for that lifestyle, that 55 plus community. And so that's kind of where this whole discovery meeting that I do is that we sit down and all of a sudden they go, oh, so like all of living's kind of like that. Well, yeah, now I don't want the restriction. I just didn't want to be on the grid, like how I am up in New York. I didn't want to just be on a road in the middle of Lewis. I wanted to have this community feel because I know it's easier to meet people and it's easier to kind of get ingrained and involved with the community, as in which community you're in, but the overall community of going out and dining and making friends. And it's like, oh, this is how the vast majority of life is here. Oh, great. Well, then I don't need that. But again, if you are working with clients under the mindset of, we're bedrooms, bathrooms, and price point, that doesn't, work as well versus, hey, we need to kind of, look at this from a larger, view of, lifestyle. So
Right.
So, but you guys have also, I was in there with a client one time touring around, and there was like a bazaar, like a craft bazaar that was going on. I couldn't figure out what was going on. It was packed. There were food trucks outside in the parking lot and all this stuff. And I think I may have stopped in and talked to you, or I talked to someone there. and it was a craft show that was, people could buy stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool that you opened up your clubhouse to, the local area for vendors to come in. And it was all people that live there.
Right.
Like, so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
They're crafty.
yeah, quite crafty.
Well, that's the cool thing.
like
Everybody's
everything.
got, different backgrounds, and, they're at a time in life where they want to showcase what they know and what they're getting involved in, and it just brings everybody together on a whole different level, for sure.
It was cool. I've never seen that before, and I think that lends itself a little bit. Everyone obviously has their vision of like community size, and some people want a small community, and some people want a bigger community. But Peninsula Lakes is larger, high fives or low sixes.
Yeah, over 600.
Yeah.
Over 600 units.
And it is. It's that, in my opinion, it isn't too big and it isn't too small. It keeps the HOAs low.
Yep.
Our HOAs are $222 a month, and that includes all of the amenities we just talked about. It also includes your grass cutting and trash removal. My most common thing I hear people say is, no, wait a minute. Well, then there's something else, and then you got to pay.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yep.
It's $222 a month. That includes everything. And we can do that because there are over 600 homes in our community.
And as far as the size is concerned, you can see just based off even this map here, there's cul-de-sacs and alcoves of homes where if you want that smaller community feel, that's naturally going to come. But if you want that larger, grand set of folks to go hang out with all the time and different people, that's where the clubhouse comes in, and brings the entire community together versus just kind of your little alcove of homes.
But the other thing that I think was done really well by the developer is that when we look at it, there are like little, pods and sections of trees that were left throughout the community, which is nice. That way it's just not, they went in, leveled all the trees, and you just kind of like look at the border of the community with trees. So that kind of breaks up the visual of the community, which is nice. But the other thing that I love in regards to the amenities in the community is that here's your clubhouse and your pool, and you guys have a separate bathhouse, which is nice. That way kids aren't running through the clubhouse with bathing suits and splashing water everywhere. But you have the amenities spread out throughout the community, which I think is nice because, number one, it kind of forces you to, like, utilize a whole community. You're not all
active.
Jammed into one area.
Right.
You got pickleball courts, separate tennis courts, because a lot of times they just reline, one set of courts for both.
Yep.
So you have separate courts. You've got horseshoes. You got your pavilion over here, the tot lot playground, and this is one that I just think is. I wish every community would do this because, every community has some land that's just not being used. Put up fences and mulch it and make a dog park because it's great to allow your dogs to be able to run around not on a leash, but also you're meeting like-minded people typically.
Absolutely.
I mean, small dog people tend to like hang out with small dog people, and so
Right.
That's a great way of meeting people also. So I love the fact that it's kind of spread throughout the community, and then obviously the big view here is all the water, which is. Hence the Peninsula Lakes.
And just to clarify, Cory, so like the red sites that you see, those are completely sold.
Okay.
The yellow are what we currently have available. You had briefly touched on basements. Know that we are down to very few basement sites
I
left.
think we have 6.
6 basement sites out of probably the entire community left because we're expecting phase 15, that final phase where it's a little bit darker green over there, to not be able to do basements.
And if you're listening to this and you're accustomed to having a basement or concerned about having a basement, understand that Schell doesn't do basements willy-nilly. I mean, when we decide to do a basement, first of all, we're testing the home site. The whole new section we just released isn't doing basements because we tested it, and we know that the seasonal water table is just a little bit too high for that to be 1,000% certain to keep the basement dry.
Sure.
So we just won't build a basement. If we build a basement for you, it's not free, right? But we're going to make sure it stays dry.
we're confident about it.
Well,
Yeah.
I say that all the time to clients, and there's a couple things, they ask about, flood insurance in communities. I say, if an insurance company says that it requires flood insurance, then but based on the price, if it's $500, they're not really worried about it. If it's $5,000, then they are.
Right.
And the same thing goes for builders. When you guys are married to that foundation for 10 years.
Yes.
The last thing that you guys want to do is have to go out and do a warranty job. The ultimate goal for and not just building, for anything, a pen, a car, or whatever, is for the client to never have to submit for warranty ever.
Right.
So if a manufacturer, a builder, whatever it might be, can produce a product that is eliminating the chance of issues, why would they not? So, as a builder, you have the choice. You can do a perk test, where you test the soil, you see where the water's at, and you're like, okay, well, it's maybe iffy, but we can make more money if we do a basement. Let's just offer a basement. And now all of a sudden later on there's water, whereas I do appreciate the fact that you guys will go, we don't know, and there's a slight possibility that, God forbid, if there's a 100-year rainstorm, blah, 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 and the water let's just not offer it, because we want our clients to have the best experience possible. And you always err on the side of client first, not money, which is huge.
Yeah.
Trust me, not all builders go that direction.
And I think people tend to confuse why you wouldn't build a basement and the seasonal water table with a flood zone. They're completely different things.
Yes. Yep.
100% completely different things. So I could have a home site, and I have a lot of home sites where we can't build basements. They are nowhere near a flood zone. They're nowhere near the floodplain. Nothing like that. The water table has to do with the composition of the soil. So the soil is essentially sand sitting on top of clay. So the sand is permeable. Water goes right through the sand, and then it just stops at the clay because the clay doesn't allow the water to go through. So at some point underneath the sand, you've got a bunch of water that's just sitting there. And that's what we want to avoid when we're building a basement. Has nothing to do with where the actual ocean level is or flood levels are. So it's more so the composition of the soil. But those sorts of things we do take seriously, and we can help you with. And Molly and I have been doing this for a long time. I think between the two of us, we're close to 40 years in this business. So we've seen this before. We've done this before. And we know the difference between a home site that can take a basement and one that can't. We know the difference between a 2x4 and a 2x6, between a regular tank and a tankless hot water heater. We know the difference between regular plumbing and manifold plumbing. And we have the ability to explain all that to our customers, because it does make a difference, both on the short term and the long term. We both have extensive experience in the mortgage. I actually was a loan officer before I started selling new homes. Molly's been, working with mortgage rates and doing investment analyses for, how do you pluralize analysis? Analysis?
Maybe. It sounds fancier.
She's been doing a lot of the investment analysis for people for a long time. So when you come into Peninsula Lakes, the first thing you should do is call Cory. Because Cory, and you know what? You'd be surprised. I'm getting off track, but you should call Cory first. But come and see us. We'll set you at ease. We'll explain things to you, and we'll help you figure out what the difference is. Because if people are throwing terms at you that you don't understand, we certainly are experienced, more patient than most. We'll sit down with you and we'll explain things to you.
Yeah, and I think that's an important topic to touch on, because like everything, not all things are created equal. Some salespeople are salespeople, and some people are more consultants. And I think it's really important, and it's something that I really appreciate with you guys, meaning pretty much all of the Schell process, is when the customer wants to build out on paper a home. There's always this feeling of obligation, like, oh, no, I'll wait. I'm not ready to do that just yet. And there's this fear, because the next question after you hand them and you go over the pricing is, so are you ready to buy? And a lot of builders, if you say, well, no, I want to go home, and I don't want to say they get angry, but it's like, well, why did I just do all this work? I appreciate the process that Schell puts out there, because it truly is, here is number one, line items of every option that you picked out. Go home. If you decide you don't want the fireplace, strike it. Use your calculator. You can deduce it from the total. Now you know how much the home's going to be. But you fully give them the room to breathe and to analyze their pricing without this feeling of, well, I need to buy. Like, I mean, part of the process is pricing the house out and then digesting and figuring out which floor plan does, should I be doing the Kingfisher or should I do a 2-story, Wimbrel or whatever it might be. And you guys give them that space, but not just the space, you give them the information to go home and do that analysis.
Molly and I, and we've been a team for a long time, and I've been able to admire her style. And both of us are very similar in a lot of ways when it comes to working with customers. Neither of us want to force somebody to buy a house. We don't want to get a sale that way at all. In fact, they don't last. People go home and they cancel. Yeah. So we are absolutely anti-pressure. But we do love selling homes. We do love helping people. And if we listen, and we listen to your needs, and we listen to what your goals are, and we listen to what's going on in your life, and why are we making this move in the first place, and what's your future home going to look like, and how can we help you get there? By the time we're done listening and helping you get to a home that works for you, most of our customers want to buy.
They're ready.
They're like, Josh, I know Molly's off today, but I want this home site. Get me in on this home site. Send me the contract. So it's people who are excited to buy, and overly excited customers are the kind that we really love. Right. If we push too hard, people are anxious, and that's no fun. We don't want people going home and thinking about canceling. That's not what we want. So we definitely listen. But what I was saying, is people should call you and come in with your representation. I've had a lot of people come in and say, "Oh yeah, well I've seen videos of this." I was like, "You have?" Oh yeah, Cory guy. He drives through the community. He's like, "Oh really?" I was like, "So you're working with Cory?" No, we're not. It's like, well, why not? First of all, if you've watched these videos and you're coming down and you're looking at this area, call Cory up. And the guy knows his stuff. He knows the area, and he's going to represent you in a way that is not going to cost you anything. In fact, it's going to save you money in the long run because he's going to save you time. He's going to save you effort. He's going to educate you about the area, and he's going to take you only to areas that make sense.
And he'll be your eyes and ears when you're not able to physically be here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then he'll hand you off to the community that makes the most sense for you, but he'll be there with you through the whole process. So if you're watching these videos, don't wing it. Don't think, hey, I got this. It's like you watch a video about building a house. Let's just build it ourselves, honey.
I think Josh has a guy crush. After today.
Of course.
Well, I think sometimes people think that if I go in with representation that
they pay more or something.
Yeah, like I can get a better deal if I don't have someone or whatever. Because
with Schell, absolutely not true.
I do get this question. There are some people out there who try to, I don't want to say game the system, but they try to get the best value possible, right? Yeah, and one of the things they ask me is like, hey, I don't have a realtor. Like, it's a quieter conversation, right? I don't have a realtor. Can I get a discount? No. No is the answer. Yeah. We don't do that. It doesn't work that way. We don't give additional incentives. Our incentives are absolutely advertised on our website. Molly and I have absolutely zero say in what incentive is given to you. It's all coming from our corporate office and based on a number of factors.
That's a sense of pride for us on the Schell side as salespeople. But our price is what the price is, and it's fair to everybody based on what the market's doing. Sure. So you don't have to think, okay, I just bought this house. Did my neighbor save more money than me? Were they better at negotiating? That's what we want to avoid. It also helps keep the value of the community overall where it needs to be if you need to sell your home later or have an appraisal done. So that is something that we will truly stick to, is the pricing that you see and the incentives that you see online are there for everybody. Yeah. And it's not somebody because they negotiated better will have a better deal, or if they come in with a realtor, they're going to get, a higher cost or a lower cost, whatever it may be.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't, at the end of the day, you just don't want to feel like the guy down the street negotiated better than you got a better deal. That's not going to happen with Schell. It's not going to happen in Peninsula Lakes. You're not going to save money by not coming in with a real estate agent. So call Cory up. He knows new construction better than any other realtor I've ever met. and he knows the area, you will be very well served. Otherwise, you're just out there trying to find, whatever you're looking for, and you're driving all over the place. You're spending months and months, literally years in some cases.
Yeah, 100%.
Looking and looking and looking and not finding what you're looking for. It's because you're not being asked the right questions.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because part of the reason why I started doing this, because again, we both work for the builder. You were on the sales side, I was on the marketing side, and marketing and sales. I would do a lot of training and kind of shadowing and watching. And I saw so many people walking into models, and they had no idea why they were there, other than that there was a sign out front that said starting at $400,000 or whatever, and they thought, oh, our budget's $425. We should look at this community. And after an hour and a half with the salespeople, it's not $400,000. And so I just said, well, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be someone. So being from the industry, I said, well, instead of complaining about it, why don't I become the solution? And I'll go at it from the realtor side and try to help educate my clients. But it's funny because I've heard it so many times from clients. It's like, you read my mind. And it's like, I didn't read anything. I listened.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between hearing and listening. I think that goes to the point of what you guys do as well. They have all the answers. It's just a matter of knowing how to ask the questions to get the information out of the client, so that way they're kind of starting to build this picture. And then it's like, oh, great, now I know exactly where to take you, because you just, after me or you guys or whatever, kind of asking the questions to get that information out, now it makes it easy. So I like to narrow it down to the community. We talk about some floor plans, and then we go into the community. So, hey, they're boaters. So, well, we shouldn't really be looking at certain communities if they want to be right around the corner from the bay where their boat's going to be, docked up, Paradise Grill, which is a blast, by the way, another restaurant that you got to, whether you're into boating or not. But, drive around the corner, there's your boat. Hop on it, go out for the, so those are all questions that we need to kind of dig into. And all of a sudden, it's like, no, I'm not a mind reader. You just, I asked the right questions, so you told me what you wanted, and now I can kind of guide you to a few options, as opposed to just driving around, pulling into communities because of what the sign out front says. Now we have a targeted, educated plan to put in place.
And that's something that you will see really in any Schell community that you go to. Our goal is to get to know you, what your needs are, what is, like Josh said, driving you to purchase your home now, because those are huge factors to helping you find a solution to your home purchase. So that is one thing to expect when you come into our models. We're going to ask some questions, but it's because we want to do best by you. Yeah. We want to really uncover what your needs are, narrow those floor plans down, save you time and effort and frustration. So the more upfront you can be with us about your situation and what you're looking for, that's always going to help in the long run, for sure.
I completely agree. And I think that some people, because of just salespeople in general, I go to get a car and it's like, hey, bud, how you doing? What kind of truck you looking for today?
Let me talk to my manager.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So we got the 4-grid thing and whatever. So you walk into a model, and a common thing that I hear from a lot of the Schell people is, explain to me why you're here today. Like, what brought you here today?
Why now?
Where are you now? What's your timing like? All of this, and they go, oh no, you're that used sales car guy that's like trying to like get me to buy the best deal. No, you guys, it's like I need this information to help guide you. It's more of on the consulting side and less on the used car sales guy type of thing.
Not necessarily like when you're coming in with Cory, because you've pretty much already narrowed things down for folks, but at the end of the day, either what we have works for you or it doesn't. And if we cannot fit your needs within our community, Josh and I are going to say, hey, why don't you go take a look at these other Schell communities? Here's why.
Sure.
And then in the Schell umbrella of communities, if we don't have something to offer you there, then we're going to point you in a direction of someone else, a different builder or a realtor if you don't have one, to look at resales, whatever it may be, because at the end of the day, we want to do what's best for you, not necessarily what's best for us as a company always.
Yeah. And if you haven't built a new home before, that could be intimidating or scary. That's another reason to have a team working for you that is going to walk you through the process and help you with everything. It isn't as scary as it sounds. And in fact, with Schell, we've made it into a really fun process.
It's crazy. Like, and when I tell people this, I'm like, it's crazy how easy it is.
Yeah.
So
Like, it's really,
we've automated the process to a degree. Obviously, you can't go make your selections online because you want to see that kind of stuff in person, but everything else is pretty much online. When you buy the house, you're pretty much 90% of the time buying it, online on our DocuSign, and you're not even writing a check anymore. You're doing an ACH transfer. It's all easy peasy. And then you go to the design center and you pick your colors and you pick your, all of the fun stuff with a design coordinator. So they help you through that. And then we put you on our Heartbeat. And our Heartbeat is really innovative because it's a proprietary software system. It's basically an online portal that allows customers to be completely interactive with their team and to follow along with their build as it's being built. And so when we reach out for you, for instance, and say, hey, we're about to put the drywall up in your house, please come down and meet with your construction manager for your frame stage tour, which is some people might call a pre-drywall meeting.
Okay.
Well, you're like, well, what is that? So you go right on the portal. You can ask a question to your construction manager. You can ask a question to your sales team. You can read a document about frame stage tours and be prepared for what you're going to look at. And it's just really interactive. It is a great way to stay in touch with things. If you're living in New Jersey or New York or wherever you are, you can see pictures of your house as it's being built. So you're really involved and you're a part of the construction of your home. And not in a way that's overly complicated, but in a way that's overly simplified.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of fun to watch your baby being built.
Almost in real time.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be halfway across the world and still see actual framing photos of your house and an explanation of what framing time frame is and what to expect next week as far as what's coming in with your home. Are you getting appliances, cabinets? It's exciting. It building a home is probably one of the coolest experiences ever if you've never done it. And Josh and I have been doing this for so many years, and like we each have our favorite parts of the process.
Sure.
Mine's watching a home being framed, like where the trusses are being, slung in and set, and like it's just so cool. And we get to see it every day. And you take a step back to like somebody who's never done it before, it's a magical process.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is a lot more fun than buying a used house. And let me
For
tell you
sure.
that. And there's not a whole lot of used houses on the market right now. And that's why buying a new home is so important right now. Get it new. Just get a new house, because it used to be you could go out there and there were 7,000 homes on the market, right? And you just had to find the right one. And that, good luck doing that. But in the case now, there's like a handful of homes on the market. And there's a reason they're still on the market and haven't sold. They're either
that's a good point.
overpriced or they're outdated or they don't look good or they stink or there's, whatever it is. I don't want to buy a used home. I don't want to buy a house where somebody else's toenails are in the carpet.
Ooh.
I want to buy something brand new from scratch that nobody's lived in. I want the countertop that I've always wanted.
Yeah. And that's, to the point that we were talking about earlier, is that, and not everyone thinks about this. I don't know of anyone that's ever bought, including myself, that's ever bought a resale home and just moved in and stayed there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now I want to make it mine.
Always something has to be done.
And it's like I've, kind of surveyed and talked to my clients that have, purchased a resale. And, at least with my clients, I've like averaged out. I see it's like $25,000 between, changing the countertops and having a painter come in and maybe doing some flooring changes and whatever it might be. Well, so if you were to take your new build, let's just say the new build's $600,000 and knock off the $25,000 you'd have to put in above and beyond your resale, now you're talking $575 for a home that is under warranty, where you want it, what you want it, and how it is with every color, fit, and finish that you picked out,
Right.
and toilets that no one's ever sat on before.
Exactly.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
I have to remember that one. But yeah, so that's why buying the new home is, it's the way to go. I mean, the used homes right now are just few and far between, and there's a reason they're on the market. So buying something brand new, we can listen to you. We can get something that fits you, fits your budget, fits your needs, fits your lifestyle, fits what you want to have in the future. All of our homes have first floor owner suites. So you don't have to worry about walking up and down the steps every time, to go to bed at the end of the day.
Including the Bristol, which is
we haven't even touched on.
Yeah, which is huge, and I don't, I know that we kind of want to keep this on like close to 30 minutes, but I think that this is a really important thing because it's only available in this community.
Yes.
So you have a twin home called a Bristol. Obviously, there's a left and a right to it, and this whole section is all Bristols, and they're all the same floor plan. Which, if you drove through there, you would never know because the change of elevations and colors, you would have no idea. But the first time that I heard about the Bristol, I'm like, oh, it's a twin home. I was number one. The first thing I was blown away with is that it is, to your point, still has owner suite on the first floor, which you hardly ever see in a twin
unattached
townhome, whatever it might be. You never see or hardly ever see owner suite on the first floor, but when I was in Ireland, that contract that we just talked about that went contingent, we were walking up the driveway and she said, I'm just going to look at this because you're telling me to, but I have no interest in this house at all whatsoever. 30 seconds in, she's like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
All the windows, all the space.
You would never know that you're in a twin.
Yeah. Over 2,000 square feet, open loft, that first floor owner suite, and all at like 410.
Yeah.
For a shell home is insane.
Well, that's the thing. You're still getting 2x6 construction and manor block and everything else.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can also, if you do the bonus room option and everything, have a walk-up attic.
Yeah.
Not like a pull down, like open the door and walk up the stairs and have all of your storage in there. It is one of those things to where I have clients that are even up in like the mid fives and I say, I just need you to try this on. I always use the analogy, we're trying on jeans, and when you just try this pair on just to see. And some of them rolled out. They're like, it's great. It's just not for me. And other people like them, she's like, literally we're walking up the driveway. She's looking at it. She's like, I'll do it, but this is not for me. And she was like, oh my goodness. And she signed a contract.
Yeah. So, nobody wants what they don't want, right? Whatever you're thinking, like, oh, I don't want this and I don't want that. But when you see what you want, you feel it. You feel it in your gut and you're like, this is what I want.
It's a crazy house. Like how much is going on in it you would think that it would feel cramped with how many bedrooms and bathrooms and everything, and somehow it still feels super open.
And
I don't get it.
That's our only house that's a true dual zone heating and cooling system.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's got a thermostat on the main level, a thermostat on the second floor, and you can set whatever temperature you want. So a lot of our homes, whenever we build above a garage, we always put them on a mini split system. So that's kind of like a dual zone, but not really a dual zone. This is a true dual zone. And the heating and cooling system is right there on that second floor. It is easy to access. It's easy to change that filter. So it's actually probably one of the most convenient houses to own of all of them. All that first floor owner suite, the kitchen in that is phenomenal.
Yep.
If you're on a budget and at $400,000, what you're going to find is probably a mobile home in this area.
Yeah.
Or you can find a 2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1-car garage, huge, gorgeous, lots of windows, energy efficient, brand new home in Peninsula Lakes.
Yeah, and the thing that's clever about it, people always think of a twin home. Well, I'm going to have one wall that doesn't have windows on it, and it's going to feel awkward, but the engineers designed it that everything on that wall, you wouldn't expect there to be windows there, like a staircase, for example, or the powder room.
The garage.
Yeah. So you don't ever feel as though you're missing the windows because number one, there's tons of windows everywhere else.
Yes.
But there's a purpose as to what's on that wall. So you're not expecting there to be a window there. And it's just, and the size of the kitchen, the islands, you have, like a command center that's like kind of like included with it. This big like centered island that's in there. Mm-hmm. It really, I don't know. It's one of those floor plans. The first time I walked in there, I'm like, what's going on? This is some like wizardry that whoever engineered this house. It's.
By the way, it's Chris Schell, who's the owner of our Schell Brothers company. He designs all these houses himself.
Does it really? I didn't know that.
And he starts with windows. He says the very first thing any house has to have is a ton of windows.
Yeah.
So you'll notice one of the first things people will notice walking into a Schell home is that there's a ton of windows. There's a ton of natural bright light. Mm-hmm. And we're able to do that and still be one of the most energy efficient builders in the whole country because of the windows we use, because of, and not the brand per se, but the type.
Yeah.
We utilize windows that have 2 panes of glass, like every builder, right? And most builders use a low E window, which is essentially just argon gas blown between 2 panes of glass.
Sure.
And assuming that gas doesn't leak out, which it does a lot.
Always.
Assuming that gas doesn't leak out, it blocks about 5% of the heat transfer. So you don't want heat escaping your house in the winter or coming in the summertime through your windows. That's why the less windows builders use, the more energy efficient their house can be. In our case, it doesn't matter because we're using a silver oxide thermoflect coating in our glass. And what that's doing is blocking 95% of the heat transfer. So heat's staying in the winter and staying out in the summer. And we can have a big, beautiful wall of windows and still be more energy efficient than any other builder you're going to see.
Well, it's funny you say that because I had a resale Schell Brothers home that I sold, and they had a cracked window from, I think a rock hit it. And they had moved back to Michigan, and they had the window replaced by not a window company like a Pella or whatever, but like a local glass company that made the window, and they just used regular glass. And when they stuck it in, you just saw instantly from the window next to it the color difference. It was clear, and you don't notice that there's this tint on it, which is that film that helps reflect until there's another piece of glass that doesn't have it, and it was like, oh, that's where the magic comes from. It's this other piece of glass that doesn't have that. So it's definitely a big deal, and especially to your point, if you don't have that, the average home has 18% of the walls are windows, and you guys are well above and beyond that. So if you did a standard window, it's going to be like, oh, now the house is cold or hot,
Right.
it almost acts like a magnifying glass in the summertime, whereas with the windows that you guys are using, you don't have that effect, so you still get the light without the drawbacks of windows.
Yeah, so we can thank Chris for that.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
no, all those great windows, all the bright light, the bright natural light. It's really what makes a Schell house so alluring. And I will tell you, and I haven't always been able to put my finger on it because I don't know on which house, but. When you walk into a house that's a Schell Brothers house, you feel it. Like you mentioned it, like when you shut the door. Yeah. You shut the door, it's solid because it's 2x6 walls and it's all, framed in with advanced framing and foam in the walls and blown in blanket insulation. Yeah, that's why it sounds so solid. But there's just something about a Schell home. People walk in. They start looking at the fit and finishes, and then
finish is a big one. You guys spend a lot of time on the quality control as well.
Yeah, they start seeing all that natural light. It just feels right. It feels beautiful. It feels, wow, I could live here. So yeah, there's something about a Schell home that I can't put my finger on, but it's probably everything. Well, it's probably everything in combination.
Yeah. Well, and this is something else that I think is important because. I know I sound like a Schell cheerleader, and I'm a Schell cheerleader because it's my job representing clients is to try to deliver them the best product that I think fits, and I think that some model homes that are built are they cheat a little bit. I feel like if you're showing a model home, whatever's in it minus the furniture, but should be offered.
Absolutely.
If you're doing trim. And you don't offer the trim in the process, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
There's a builder, I won't say who they are. They had a model home, and we walked into the owner's suite, and my client was like, "Oh wow, look at that huge tray ceiling, that's beautiful." And they said, "Oh, we don't offer the tray ceiling." I mean, they said, but afterwards you can have a contractor come in and cut your brand new roof trusses and build a tray ceiling in. And in my opinion, if they didn't ask. Now they're going to be expecting to have a tray ceiling. They're going to walk into their brand new home and be like, where's the tray ceiling?
Right.
Like, oh, that was just something that we did for our model home. In my opinion, if you have solar on your house, you should be offering solar. If you're doing trim work, if you're doing flooring, if you're doing countertops, whatever it might be, you should be able to pick that out with that builder. Otherwise, don't show it. I feel as though it's, I don't want to say it's cheating, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So other than ceiling fans specifically.
Which I think they're doing them now. I know where you're yes, I think now they are. But even what Josh is mentioning is even the furniture in our homes you can get because of Decor Direct.
Decor Direct, yeah.
We try to make it a one-stop shop if you want to. So window treatments, custom lighting fixtures, even mattresses, bed, everything.
Yeah,
Decor Direct can provide for you. So if you see it in a model, even if it's decor, you can typically get that.
So everything that's in a model home is available through Schell. And apparently maybe even now the ceiling fans, but everything that you see in a model home, it's either standard or it's optional or it's something that you can do through Schell. So decorations, you can do the courtyards, the outdoor courtyards, the fireplaces, the water features, even the plantings out there. You can do
any
solar.
trim detail that you see. You can do custom paint through Decor Direct. So really, it's anything.
Yeah, and then we've got the solar, Clean Energy USA. We've got them as a subdivision of Schell Brothers. So they offer a great discount when you buy solar panels through them. Not that you need them. I think our average Schell Brothers home is somewhere between like $110 and $130 per month, total gas and electric combined.
Well, I think the total gas and electric combined is key because other builders that are energy efficient, they tout, maybe the electric bill, but it could be in like a buried propane community,
right.
And they kind of forget, well, the electric, during the winter months was just for your lights and running your dishwasher,
right.
Not the propane that you paid for to heat the water for your dishwasher and your fireplace and your heat energy and all of that. So it is really important to kind of look at, it's not a $35 a month bill. It's, you need to look at all of the energy costs, when you're doing that. So, but it is.
Yeah. So you may not need solar, but a lot of our customers are just that type of person who's like, I've always wanted solar. If I can get solar, why not? I'd love to see negative electricity bills.
Yeah.
And
or just to have that clean, energy.
Be off the grid, have a smaller carbon footprint. I completely
It's
agree.
there. Yeah. It is for some people, and other people are like, I don't want it. Well, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, look, go live in your house for a year and see what your bill comes in at.
Yeah.
I was talking with a client last night. He's building a over $2 million house with you guys, here on the east side of Route 1.
And by the way, we also have $400,000 houses too.
Yes, yes.
If you're listening to this, you don't need to have a $2 million budget.
Yeah, you do not. But he's like, I don't want to have solar. And I'm like, then don't.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. I mean, the house that he's in is much older. I'm like, you're not going to be, paying that. But the bigger thing is that you're going to be more comfortable as well.
Right.
So not only is your bill going to be lower because of energy efficiency, but you're not going to be turning the heat down to not have to pay and be freezing. You're going to be comfortable at the same time, which is, ultimately you want to be comfortable.
Yeah, you don't
Absolutely.
care. Nobody cares what the temperature is inside their house. They care if you're comfortable inside your house.
Yeah.
So when you're in an older house or a used house or another new house and you set it to 70 degrees and you're just never comfortable, right?
Yeah.
That's the pain in the butt. And the biggest kicker is when you're not comfortable and you're paying $400
exactly.
a month
It's
for
like,
energy costs.
Because you walk by your window and you got sunburned.
So it really is state of the art with Schell Brothers. And I would say, having done this for a long time, there are track builders, there are custom builders, and with the track builders, it's like what you see is what you get. Nope, you can't do anything. It's this box, and with these windows, and with this floor, this is what you're getting. And then you have the custom builders who are like, sure, you can have anything you want. And then $4 million later, you've got the house that you wanted to build. There's no builder other than Schell that I'm aware of that really fits that niche between the two.
Yeah.
So we are kind of track builder pricing, but custom builder options. So we have so many things you can choose from, which is important to know because you're gonna look at something and you're gonna say, oh, I really do want that quartz and I want that cafe, oven. Absolutely, you can get it. But here's what we give you standards. Standards amazing too. You don't have to spend a fortune customizing the home, but you can. If you want that custom home look, we can accomplish it.
Yeah.
If you want that, track home price, we can accomplish that too.
And especially with how Josh and I work, we have found that transparency is the key. So when we do sit down and do pricing, we are screen sharing the full pricing sheet. So we're not trying to hide numbers. There's no way to change the numbers at all. What you see when we sit down and build your home on paper is what will follow you through the whole process.
Sure.
So that's what we're going to use for your purchase agreement. That's what they're going to use at the design center. So you, from even before buying a home, will know what the exact numbers are and what's available to you. So nothing's going to be hidden. You'll know whether that tray ceiling's included or not, which it is, by the way, in all the Schell homes. The more information we can give you and provide to you, the better.
Sure.
Like, it does nobody any good to hide anything. So
I just saw what time it is. I think you're going to have to break this into 2 sessions, like part 1 with Mollie and Josh.
Well, here's the good thing, and I think that doing follow-ups are important so we can see how the phase is selling through and changes. I mean, this is an ever-evolving industry, and every community is also evolving on multiple things. So, I would absolutely, next 3 months or so, let's do it again and see what's going to change.
It's kind of hard getting down here, Cory. All the seagulls in the way, and
they're all delivering food.
they are.
All the delivery seagulls and all the sand that's blowing across the road. It's so all right.
It's just so relaxing over here.
I'll put Josh on the mute button. Like,
But on a serious side, thank you guys so much for coming on. I think this is important, and I love part of the reason why I wanted to put this podcast together so that people could not only just hear from your side as the community, but also start to hear and understand who you guys are and what they can expect going in there, and that expect Josh's bad jokes,
right,
and know
right.
that Mollie's nice, and but kind of have an idea of who the people are that they're going to be working with throughout different communities, but also hear kind of the intricacies of each community. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You're stuck with both of us through the sales process at Peninsula Lakes, so it's not like you have to work with Josh or you have to work with me. We're a team no matter what. So
she's trying to say that if you don't like the bad jokes, you can
just come and see me. I'll handle it.
No, but definitely if you're listening to these podcasts or watching these podcasts, definitely call Cory. It's fun to watch him. It's fun to see him do these video tours, but he's an amazing representative for his clients. He's going to take your needs and he's going to really put them first. So don't just watch the videos and come in and say, "Oh yeah, we saw the video." Actually, call Cory. He can help.
Well, thank you.
There's a reason he's one of the top realtors in this area. And we certainly appreciate all you do and all the hard work you put in.
Sure.
Before, during, and after the sale.
Well, thank you. That really means a lot. I mean, I love to hear it from my clients, but to hear it from the other side that what I do brings some value means a lot. So thank you.
Excellent.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, 3 months ish. Let's do this again.
Sounds like
good.
a plan.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Who's in the House. If you still have questions, feel free to email us at info@who'sinthehouse, DE as in Delaware.com. You can also call or text any questions to 302-466-5511. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. And in the meantime, keep an eye out for our next episodes. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.